Well, hello and welcome to all of our viewers here today. I'm Fiona Lang Sharp, IBCLC Director of Communications and MC here at Gold Learning. Well, welcome to everyone joining us here today. I'm very delighted to be sitting down with friend and colleague Elly Taylor. And Elly's going to be speaking at our upcoming Gold Birth and Beyond conference. And you can join us all online at goldbirthandbeyond.com to check out all the details. Welcome, Elly. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you, Fiona. It's great to be here, and I'm so happy that we managed to meet in real life before this because I really get that sense of connection with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that was just last year. I think we had a wonderful time. We sat down, we had lunch. And so here we are today, catching up once again and talking about one of both you and I's favorite topic, and that is all about what it's like for partners and, in the perinatal period. So we'll talk about that in just a minute, and we'll be talking about Elly's presentation as well that's coming up at the conference. But first of all, you just really need to let everybody know where you are in the world and tell us a little bit about what it's like there for you and what you do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so I'm in Sydney. I'm so sorry. I've just got this gravelly. Sorry, worst timing. So I'm in Sydney in Australia, and things are pretty good for us here at the moment. So Victoria, which is the state south of us, are in full lockdown because they've had a second wave of corona. But luckily, we are further enough north that life is pretty normal for us here at the moment. So we're thankful for that. We're heading into our summer, so the weather's beautiful, and I'm fortunate to live near the beach, near a horse riding stables. So life is probably better than normal in some ways, but also very aware that it's a tough time for most people at the moment with everything that's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, we can agree that with so many different changes and challenges that we've had over the last few months, and definitely, the more to come, and I think that's a reality because we talk about this, in the perinatal field with our families, because expectations, it's important to eliminate some of the fears and some of the questioning that they might have. So lots of ongoing conversations, throughout this time for many that are going to be, prenatal, birthing, and postpartum as well. So that sort of takes us into sort of one of the topics that I really want to talk about, and that is sort of, perinatal mental health and marriages. And so this is going to be part of your presentation. But can we lay it all out there, Elly, and just say, it's hard right now for relationships, regardless if you're now expecting as well. That's sort of the consensus that we're seeing.
Absolutely. And I think that, the interesting thing was that the perinatal period was challenging for a couple's relationship even before the pandemic. And this whole global crisis now has just added a whole other layer, that expecting and new parents are having to deal with. But that's why I'm so grateful to be able to talk about this topic, because for me, the couple's relationship is kind of like a buffer against the rest of the world.
Mm.
If the couple are coping, if they're supporting each other, then it really doesn't matter what's happening outside the door. you know, if we know the ways and the whys of supporting the couple relationship during the perinatal period, then we really are protecting them from perinatal mental health issues and from the stresses that are outside their doors. And there's, people say nothing can prepare parents for parenthood, but that is so not true. There's so many things that we can be doing to prepare couples for the stresses of the pandemic life and for the other stresses that are separate from that, that can really help them to cope, to not just cope with the situation, but to grow together through it.
Yeah, absolutely. That really just struck a chord with me. That's something that we hear quite a bit. We talk about it, and that is, you don't know what it's like until you're a parent. And I think so that's almost a dismissive way, of saying, oh, you're not going to know what it's like until you're a parent, and therefore, there's no way to prepare. I think that's kind of the leading line that sometimes we go into it. You're not going to know what it's like until you have children, so there's no point, doing anything about it. But that's just like you said, that's really not true. There's a lot of preparation that can happen, and particularly as couples, as partners come into this. And so, yeah, I think that, here we are, here we are at a time in our lives where there's lots going on. It's time to really buckle down and start really getting these correct language and messaging into the hands of our providers, and then the resources into the hands of the parents. Don't you think, Ellie?
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. I think, I think, saying nothing can prepare you for parenthood, bad luck, off you go, is not
Right.
helpful. It's like we have this sort of bon voyage mentality that, it's great. It's going to be so much fun. Congratulations, and see you on the other side. And I liken it to sending couples to a country that they've never been to before, that they don't know how to speak the language, and they didn't realize that the mountains were high enough to have snow on them. And they think they're going to a tropical island sort of thing, because that's how we've set it up for them. It's we should be saying, it might be more challenging than you expect, and here's ways that you can cope with any of the challenges that your family has to face. It's about stress relief, it's about good communication, it's about knowing how to support each other. There's so much that we could be doing, and that's my passion. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I just love that because it actually makes me, and I'm very passionate about this topic too, but you're making me stop and think about what I'm doing, which I love. I think that's why I connect with you so well, because you're a natural teacher, always coming up with great new resources, and providing new ways of looking at things as families evolve too. There's differences today than there was 10 years ago. And that sort of lends me into talking a little bit more about you, Ellie, and some of the resources that you have provided over the years for professionals and for parents as well. Can you tell me a little bit about those things that you have?
Sure, absolutely. So I guess, I was a perinatal professional at the same time that I was a mother. So I was really aware of the gap in my education about the changes that happen for couples when they become parents. And so I kept waiting for somebody to write a book about it, and nobody wrote the book. So I ended up having to do it. So I guess it was, being really aware of what the changes were for us and what the issues and the challenges were for us. And then working with clients through the, pretty much the same issues, the same changes, and the same challenges.
Hmm.
So I realized that there was this huge gap in education for perinatal professionals about what happens to a couple's relationship normally when they
Hmm.
become parents, and how to facilitate that process for couples. So I created an online training course called Becoming Us. For all different perinatal professionals, so it doesn't matter whether you work with clients prenatally, during the birth, or in the postnatal period. There is something that you can do, or there are a number of things that you can do to support the couple relationship. And then, of course, there's a book, Becoming Us, which is for parents. And I'm working on my next book about the different transitions into parenthood for professionals. So there's a whole bunch of
Lots of
resources to
resources.
fill
Yeah.
that gap, because the gap is big, it's
Yeah.
wide, it's deep, and parents are falling into it. So there's a lot of work to be done in this space, and I'm really excited to be doing it.
Absolutely. And I think I think this is something that also professionals are drawn to as well. I think I'm seeing more and more professionals wanting to know how to support families, looking at the outcomes, why we do have the outcomes that we do, that sometimes are not, folks are not in a good place postpartumly, and wishing that they'd had more information. So I think your resources are going to lend wisely to so many of us that are looking to improve our practice and move it to this sort of next level. I have a quick question for you, Ellie, just in regards to sort of a little bit of a takeaway here. But can you tell me what are the top two things that you believe we should do to be including partners or fathers in in the perinatal time of the family?
Okay, so I think images are really powerful. So I think one of the easiest things that providers can do is like have a look at the material that you're putting out there on your website and in your marketing materials. And are there pictures of fathers and partners in those? I see so many that have got these
Oh,
beautiful,
yes.
what I call vanilla images of mums and babies looking perfect. And I think what expectations does that set up for your client for a start?
Right.
Um, and really encourage you that if you want to work with families and you really want to give this family the best start, then you need, ideally to be taking up kind of like what I call a whole family focus. So think about the images that you're using, and are they including whole families? Regardless of whether they're same-sex couples or whether it's a trans family, just have the inclusion of
A
in the image.
unit. The
A
unit.
unit, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, a family unit. That's one thing. The second one is invite the father or the partner or the other parent to your first session with mum, with the birthing parent. I
Hmm.
think really including them right from the get-go is going to really maximize their ability to participate in the rest of the process. I think making it very clear from the start that we're here for you too, and that you have a part to play in this, supporting the mum or the birthing parent. You're important, and really celebrating that they're becoming parents, really celebrating that they're becoming mothers, that they're becoming fathers, that they're becoming a family, and honoring that for them. This is not just about a safe birth. This is about creating a family, and that's a big deal for parents. And I think that that's something that we can celebrate even in the middle of a pandemic, because becoming a parent is even bigger than the pandemic for
Right.
for, for these people.
Well, that's really wonderful. Great takeaways there. I just love that. Finally, before we wrap up today, just briefly, can you tell me a little bit about your presentation coming up here at Gold? I would love to know just, what should we expect? The title again is Including Fathers and Partners to Support Perinatal Mental Health and Marriages.
Okay, so in a nutshell, it's all the little ways, or a lot of the little ways, that we can include fathers and partners in our work, and the big difference that that can make for us as a provider, and for couples and for families going forward when we do.
Well, that sounds fabulous. I mean, I'm just intrigued about it all. I want to spend more time with you. I know that we'll have that time when we come together, of course, at our conference. Thank you so much, Ellie. It's just been a delight sitting down with you. There's lots to think about. We can make a whole movement out of this, really, right? I mean, I'm thinking about all the different practitioners that are involved in the perinatal field, including myself as a doula and a lactation consultant. It's, even now I'm thinking about what I'm going to go change on my website. Honestly, I've got it. I hear the message loud and clear. Thank you.
Awesome. My pleasure.
Thank you so
Always
much.
happy.
And to all of our audience listening in right now, thank you so much once again for joining us here today with Ellie Taylor and myself. Do join us for our Gold birthandbeyond.com conference. It's online now, ready to register. We can't wait to see you there with Ellie and, of course, so many fantastic presenters as well. Thank you once again to Ellie Taylor for joining us here today, and of course to all of you, our viewers. Bye bye for now.